Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, the number one network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the number one sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France, and of course you good old boys in Africa. The Big C tribe following from Africa. Big C, you know we love Canada, but there's still no one we love more than you good old boys down south, and the land of the free and the home of the brave. Big C, how's it going for you good old boys down south? Yeah.
5-hour, 15-minute game last night.
Yeah.
This is getting outlandish, but you talk about some superior baseball talking.
Oh, yeah.
This is off the chain.
Yeah, it's almost as long as it takes to fly across the country. And I know some people can say they're exhausted because there's too many emotional swings. But that, I think, is putting baseball back on the map. I know some people don't want to admit that baseball is not the highest viewed, show in the world. But when it comes to the World Series, I think it can compete with a lot of things. Today is a beautiful October the 30th, 2017, in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Have a lot of things to talk about from NFL football. Some great college football games were played over the weekend, really shaping up the final for the playoffs for that. But, a lot of stuff going on in the White House, too. Donald Trump has been conspicuously quiet. A lot of good old boys getting called, being indicted in the Trump administration. Papadopoulos, I think is his name. He had a wiretap going on with the Russian crew, and he has a lot of information to share. Also, Manafort was indicted. So a lot of things happen in the White House. But, Big C, I want to touch on that game last night, the World Series. And I don't know if it hurts Kershaw's legacy or if it helps the legacy of Houston's, what they're doing. They took out LA's best pitcher, supposedly, and he lasted 5 innings. But have you ever seen a game like that where it's just back and forth the whole night and we didn't know who won because a lot of people went to sleep? Your thoughts?
Well, I think two games like this.
Yeah.
The best baseball World Series game you ever seen. You only have to go back a couple of nights every time you watch a game.
Yeah.
I think this game, Charles, didn't hurt Kershaw. It hurt all the analytic people.
Yeah.
Okay? Well, when they talk about analytics, baseball's a game of hitting.
Yep.
Catching, running. That's what baseball is about, throwing.
Yeah.
It's not about analytics because the analytics went out the window last night in this game, Charles. When you think about it, the analytics people said, when the Dodgers have a 4-run lead and Kershaw's on the mound,
Yeah.
they don't lose, okay?
Yeah.
Twice last night they had the lead with Kershaw on the mound.
Yeah.
Okay? And they lost both of those leads. Houston came back and tied the game up, Charlton, with 3 home runs each time. So when you talk about the analytics people, they were sitting there scratching their head. Now, tonight is bald as I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you think about what baseball has done this year, Charlton, in captivating a nation.
Oh, yeah.
I think with the energy that was put out last night at the beginning of the game, with the 2 former President Bushes throwing out the first.
That was amazing.
That was a great sight for America.
That was amazing.
To have true presidents standing out there throwing out the game's first pitch. And this is the second time that President Bush 43 has done it. He did it after the World Trade Center in New York at Yankee Stadium. And then he's come back and repeated it. Think about it. The 2 times that he's done it, the whole team has won the series, Charles.
Wow, isn't that amazing?
They won it, and now the Astros took a commanding lead last night. But even more so, Charlton, people talk about the home run record that was set during the regular season in Major League Baseball with home runs ever being hit in a regular season.
Uh-huh.
They've already eclipsed the World Series record, Charlton. Going into this series, the World Series record for home runs was 22.
Yeah.
Okay? They've eclipsed that already in 5 games with 23 home runs being hit. And there's still potentially 2 games left to play in this series. So when you talk about from a fan base, NFL Sunday night football last night didn't stand a chance against the World Series. So when they want to say that NFL ratings are down, sometimes you have to see what something is pit against.
Yep.
This is a very pivotal game in the World Series.
Yeah.
For a world championship. where it was just another game on a rainy Monday night in D.C.
That's a very good point. It's a lot like when you get into the playoffs, the AFC, NFC championship game, those ratings eclipse everything but the Super Bowl. I do want to say that this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. Another thing that I noticed about the baseball game and the World Series, and of course, this to me, this is why we play baseball as little kids. You know, growing up sometimes, Big C, if you ever played the backyard with anybody, you always have someone taking the lead, someone standing on the mound and you imagine that you're in the World Series, you're at Game 7, you're down by 1 with 2 outs, and you got bases loaded, and you're the pitcher. And you got the lead by 1, or if you're the batter, you're down by 1. And you want to be the guy that makes either the winning pitch to get the strikeout or the home run hit to get the win. Big C, do you think was capturing the minds of everyone in the baseball universe is we've all imagined being Clayton Kershaw in that moment and Altuve in that moment? We've all been there as little kids, Big C. Is that why it's so fascinating to see it on the big stage? Your thoughts?
Every little league player in America has witnessed that moment. It's, in their young lives.
Yeah.
They were the ones on the mound and the ones at plate.
Yep.
And I've seen many little leaguers hit them out of the park, Charlton, over the years. And those are some of the greatest games that you could ever go to enjoy because the purity of the game is there.
Yeah.
It's like in the World Series. When people talk about what's killing the fan base in these arenas, Charlton, it's the size of the jumbotrons, okay?
Yeah.
When you watch the game on the jumbotron, Charlton, and not just watch the game on the jumbotron, but you're also looking on your little portable device.
Yep, on your handheld device, yeah.
From other games.
Yeah.
In baseball, you have to watch every pitch and pay attention.
Yeah.
Okay? But that's the thing about baseball. Football plays, you can go back and get the replay. But in baseball, they're not showing the replays in the stadium of every pitch.
You're right.
So you have to pay attention to that. The great fielding plays, the pickoff move, the decisions that are being made by the base coaches, Charlton, looking at the manager in the dugout.
Yeah.
The intensity of these series, Charlton, that we've seen in the ALCS and the NLCS.
Yep.
And now in the World Series, Charlton, has just been polarizing. Every year they're polarizing. I haven't witnessed a game like this. We talked earlier about the 92 series with the Toronto Blue Jays
Yeah.
and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
When Joe Carter hit the home run.
Yeah.
This was that type of atmosphere. It was almost like a Game 7 atmosphere last night. And it's been captivating every game of this series, Charlton, because the city of Houston has gone through so much devastation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And the electricity that this series and the previous series have provided for that community, Charlton, has been nothing less than astonishing.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point to bring up, that it takes you away from what's gone on. And in their own lives, the people in Houston, they still got to go back. And a lot of them still don't have a place to live. A lot are still trying to get loans and to get their houses rebuilt. But I want to take you back to a moment in last night's game. And I think about Cody Bellinger, and he's a great bat for the Dodgers. And here's a guy who's hit a couple home runs in this series. But he can go so long between hitting the ball. And also, I look at Justin Turner, who I think is just a stud, the third baseman for the Dodgers. Unlike Springer and unlike Altuve and Correa, these guys, they're almost getting a hit almost every time they're up. At least they're going to get 2 or 3 hits in the game, it seems. Even though Altuve may strike out, when you got the lead again, they went up 4-0, and then they had the chance to blow that, and the Astros came back, and then the Dodgers went up again by 3 runs. And you just knew, why pitch to Altuve? Maybe walk this guy because he's the hottest bat probably in baseball. If not, we know the American League. It's those one little moments, that 1 inch that you're off throwing the baseball, that Altuve can go yard. A lot like what we're expecting out of Yasiel Puig, who hit a home run with one hand on the bat last night. Big C, talk about the power of those guys when you can hit a home run with one hand on the bat.
Well, Charlton, when you think about the baseball, and we talked about it leaving the yard this year to
Yeah.
pace
Yeah.
during the regular season and the playoffs.
Yep.
That's what we had last night. Krieger is a huge man.
Yeah.
A very hulking figure, compared to Altuve.
Yeah.
When he's swinging the bat, he's putting every inch of his body into it.
Yep.
He's the best player in baseball when you think about it. He's led the American League in hitting for the last 3 years. So you were very correct in talking about give the guy a pass, hit him in the first base.
Yeah.
Don't put the game on the line with him at the plate, Charlton. That was a bad move by the
Roberts, yeah.
Heading out to give the team a chance. But even when Breed was to play Charlton, when the Dodgers were down by 2 runs,
yeah,
and he hit that one-handed home run, it just shows the power and also the juice that's in the ball this year. The ball is jumping off the bat.
Yeah.
You put decent wood on it, even with one hand. But humidity also in Houston helps that out.
Yeah.
But, you talk about the electricity in the stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have turned off the power grid in Houston and powered the city.
Yeah.
Just the electricity that was in the stadium last night.
Yeah, obviously got a great matchup. I don't care what side you're pulling for. If you're following sports, you want to see a Game 7. I mean, if you're Houston, they probably say, no, we don't want to see a Game 7. Don't worry about that, Big C. But a Game 7 with Vin Scully throwing out the opening pitch, and a Game 7, the crescendo of baseball, the biggest game of the baseball universe, at Dodger Stadium, one of the most iconic stadiums in the history of baseball, because they haven't torn it down and moved across the parking lot like a lot of stadiums have done. I think that would be amazing. I know we go on tomorrow into the pitching. You have 2 guys that are very good. Verlander, who really isn't that great when it comes to the ERA. He has a 4.50 ERA going against Rich Hill at 2.25 ERA in Game 6 in L.A. And I just think if there's any justification in the universe, Big C, I want to see a Game 7. I want to see Vin Scully throwing out the opening pitch. I want to see the Hollywood versus the oil country, I want to see these good old boys from Texas come out here to California with their cowboy hats and watching everybody walking around on red carpet. Big C, would that be a great way to end the baseball season? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, just every game has been a great way to end the baseball season.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always electrifying to get to that decisive Game 7 like we saw last year.
Yep.
The World Series in Cleveland, Charlton.
Yeah.
But, whether this game ends in 6, whether it ends in 7, it's been nothing less than a magnificent series for baseball to showcase baseball in its truest form, Charlton.
Yeah.
That you have the 2 best teams in the regular season competing for the ultimate prize.
Yep.
This is what you live for, and this is what championships are made from.
Oh, yeah.
It's tough when you see these wild card teams get in and, they weren't anywhere close to having the best record.
Yeah.
But this is a truly deserving series of the 2 best teams and the best players.
Yeah.
To get to this point, the Dodgers were known for their defense, the Astros were known for their hitting.
Yeah.
And it's panned out in this series, Charlton. We've seen in the games that the Astros have won, Charlton.
Yeah.
It's been all about hitting, where they've consistently come back.
Yeah.
Game after game, inning after inning. And even as the broadcasters do the game, they're spent.
Yeah.
Because they run out of expletives.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So obviously, if you love baseball, if you don't like this World Series and you don't even like baseball, it's amazing the way this game is being played. I do want to touch on some college football before we get into the NFL. Great weekend of college football. When you look at what's shaping up to be the playoff series, I look at the big conference winners have been the Big Ten, and then the SEC with Ohio State and Penn State. What a game. And then you look at Georgia just blowing out Florida and costing their coach's job, Jim McElwain. But I want to get your thoughts on the world of college football, Big C, as we run down just a couple of the big games we know a lot of people play. But some of the big games, give me your thought on the biggest game of the weekend. Ohio State coming from behind, spotting Penn State 2 touchdowns to open the game. And they come from behind and win at 39-38 after they call it a dandy of a football game in the Buckeye State in the Horseshoe. What an amazing atmosphere, Big C. Your thoughts?
We've seen back-to-back playoff games, Charlton. Payback games, rather, in the Big Ten. Last week when Penn State handled Michigan.
Yep.
In Happy Valley. And now this week they come back where they handled Ohio State a year ago in Happy Valley, and Ohio State returns the favor.
Yeah.
We had talked about in our show at the end of the week, Charlton, last week, that there would be at least 3 teams go down that were in the playoff hunt, and they did not fail us, Charlton.
Yeah.
These teams fell by the wayside. Things start to juggle themselves out. That's why they shouldn't have these preseason polls, Charlton, until after 6 or 7 games, into the season to know where teams actually fall.
Yeah.
But now, this game this past weekend, at the shoe, Charlton, was just probably the best game of the year in college football. It's not going to get any better than that.
Yeah.
This game, you brought in the Heisman favorite, in Barkley.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden, J.T. Barrett has catapulted himself into the top 3, Charlton, after this magnificent performance he had. He's been maligned by a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he's an African-American quarterback, so you're going to get that.
Yeah.
But, when you look at what he did in the fourth quarter, 13 for 13 in completions.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
He's never had a fourth quarter like J.T. Barrett has had, okay?
No.
J.T. Barrett, they say he's not a pocket passer, he's a game manager. Well, he managed the biggest game of the year in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
13, whatever.
19 teams now, sees.
He managed the best game of the year. When you think about his pass completion percentage,
Yeah.
his touchdown passes, Charlton, and his yardage, not only just throwing and running the ball.
Yeah.
He played the complete game at quarterback. If he was in the NFL and you're looking at fantasy points,
Yeah.
he would have been off the chart.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep. Definitely.
Play in that type of pressure, with that type of composure, Charlton, to bring Ohio State back
Yeah.
in the waning moments of the game, and to have the pocket presence to be able to sit there and find his open receivers on that drive, Charlton, is not even amazing. It just shows the poise of these quarterbacks that are underrated in college football.
Yeah.
Because they don't fit that prototypical mold.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, they can win national championships, but they can't play in the NFL and be drafted number 1 overall.
Yeah, we got to get rid of that stigma. A lot of knuckleheads came up with that theory, even back in the days of Warren Moon. I want to look at number 3, Georgia, 42-7 over Florida. A game that cost McElwain his job at the University of Florida. I won't say that game per se, but I do want to say that Georgia looked very good. In fact, this team, they went into Notre Dame and gave Notre Dame their only loss. You think we would? I don't want to see what I'm going to ask you. Is there a chance of having Georgia play Florida in the SEC championship game, and the loser of that game gets in? I don't think that's fair for college football. I think you got to find teams that at least can win their conference that get in there. But your thoughts, is that a possibility of it happening? Is it even something you would even care about seeing the second time in 2 or 3 games? Big C, your thoughts?
It's nothing to care about. Randy Shannon is going to take over the post at Florida. He's going to be the interim head coach. If you remember, Randy Shannon used to go to the University of Miami.
Oh, yeah.
Before being let go down there. He was a former player at the University of Miami. As a matter of fact, he and Mark Richt were on the same team down at the University of Miami together as defensive players. But, the thing with McElwain being let go, I think it came more from the allegations of the death threats, Charlton, something that he was not able to prove.
Yeah.
And I think it was an embarrassment for the university for him to go out on a limb. And I think he was trying to buy time, as a head coach because he saw a sinking ship. So he felt that people felt sympathetic towards him, is that maybe they wouldn't let him go. He feel that he had a chance against Georgia regardless.
Yeah.
This Georgia team, Charlton, is running the football like an SEC team.
Yeah.
And this is the history that, the coach had when he was at Alabama as a defense coordinator.
Yeah.
Playing there. He knew how to set up a running game because he had to run against it every day in practice.
Yep.
Okay? University of Alabama. Now that he's there at Georgia, and you look at this two-headed monster that they have. I mean, Michelle and I'm trying to think of the kid's name at number 20.
Yeah. Chubb, I think. Chubb, yeah. Yeah.
Power and speed, Chubb. To have this combination, Chubb is, set the SEC touchdown rushing record.
Yep.
Broken Herschel Walker's record, number 3 on all-time rushing list.
Yeah.
But, what they're doing right now is what makes college football exciting. When you think about 2 conferences that may get 2 teams into the playoffs, you're looking at the SEC, also with Georgia and Alabama, and you're also looking at the Big Ten with Wisconsin and Ohio State.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Can run the table without being defeated, not reaching each other in the conference playoff championship,
Yeah.
and get into the playoffs.
Yeah, Wisconsin's kind of under the radar as an undefeated team. I look at TCU; they were in the driver's seat out of the Southwest Conference, now Big 12 Conference, and they fall at Iowa State. But Iowa State has beaten Oklahoma and TCU, and when you look at that, it hurts the whole conference. That Oklahoma may come out of that conference as champion, but TCU, which everyone was pulling for, because it's good to have an undefeated team, in fact, that gives them their best chance. But Iowa State knocking off TCU, you can't overlook Iowa State anymore. But I want to take you to another game. It was Georgia Tech that can run the ball very well against Clemson, and Clemson comes out with a 14-point win, 24-10. Clemson's doing this with the backup quarterback. Big C, your thoughts on their chances at getting into the Final Four of the college football playoffs? Big C, your thoughts? Yep.
But Clemson has been under this game two consecutive years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they have to get some consideration as far as what the program has done over time. They've proven themselves.
Yeah.
They had their hiccup. I mean, you're going to have maybe 2 two teams that go through the season, Charleston, undefeated. So there's going to be a lot of one-loss teams that you're going to have to juggle, and you're going to have to bring in all these analytics that we talked about
Yep.
to figure out who deserves to be where. Because when you talk about analytics, you talk about Iowa State's big victory over TCU.
Yeah.
They've beaten TCU and Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And they're not even ranked as close as either one of those teams. Both of those teams are in the top 10.
Yeah, they're 25th ranked.
Ranked about 19th or 20th in the country.
Yeah.
But yet they beat these two teams. They're ranked way below Charleston.
Yeah, that's a great thing about college football. You got to find a way to get their rankings done later in the season. I want to swing it out to the West Coast because USC was picked by a lot of people to win the Pac-12 South. And then the Pac-12, they probably still can win the Pac-12 South. But I think a lot of things is going to happen this weekend. They're either going to win it or lose because they're hosting Arizona, which put 58 points on the board against number 15 Washington State. USC down in the desert against Arizona State, which was kind of an overwhelming loss for Arizona State. They had just beaten Utah on the road. They had also beaten the Washington Huskies down in the desert. USC comes in there limping from a 49-10 loss at Notre Dame, and they look like the USC that we thought they'd be. But I want to get your thoughts on that win by USC. Was not as impressive as the score. They had a late touchdown. That was a late interception return for a touchdown with less than a minute to play. Sam Darnold, no talk of him being the Heisman candidate now because it never should have been in the first place, Big C. Your thoughts on Arizona State and USC? It really doesn't make a difference when it comes to the Heisman Trophy candidate anymore, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, when your buddies, Todd McShay,
I don't know those guys. I wonder how they get paid. They're so wrong, and they just Google what they say. And I love everybody, but Google what we say, Google what they say, and ask me how they're still getting the paychecks, Big C, for being wrong all the time. Your thoughts?
Well, I guess they're looking good head on.
Yeah.
You
can lie your way.
They've made a living lying for the past decade, Charles, about their inaccuracies.
Yeah, Google it.
I knew at the beginning of the season that was how he played one good game.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, if it's based on the one good game, and JT Barrett should be the number one overall draft pick.
Yeah.
Out of college next year, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he's played better than Donald has. His record is much better than Donald.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So, if you put the analytics together, Donald is not going to New York. JT Barrett is going to go. But this game that they just squeaked by, I mean, they've been a very lackluster season.
Yeah.
And when the quarterback's playing bad, then they start blaming everybody else, just like at the White House.
Yep.
Well, he's got injuries. Other players are down. Well, you get all the credit when you win.
Yep.
You deserve all the credit when you win.
That's hot. That's.
The next Moses.
Yeah.
And so you should be able to get the people over the top.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, and I want the guy.
Doing that, Charles.
And I want Donald to see, because I'm a West Coast guy. I don't hold any bones about it, but I'm very partial. I look at everybody, and just based on their performance, I always thought the kid at Louisville was a better quarterback. And I want to look at Arizona, because Arizona's jumping on people. Rich Rodriguez was on the hot seat about they wanted to let him go for not winning, and maybe it's based on winning and losing. We know that. But this guy, he's found a quarterback that knows his system. And now think about it. They put 59 points on the board at home against UCLA with Sam Rosen, the NFL, ready quarterback. And now they do the same thing to Washington State with Falk, who's an NFL ready quarterback. And Falk was actually benched in this game. Arizona's a different breed of cat at home. 58-37 over 15th ranked Washington State. I want to get your thoughts on Arizona going into the Coliseum and then knocking USC out of first place in the Pac-12 South. And I think they'll do it this weekend, Big C. Your thoughts? It's going to be high grass.
As you talk about it, that veer option offense that they can run and having a quarterback that can execute that. We saw that with JT Barrett at Ohio State.
Yeah.
Yep. And what he did. We're going to get a glimpse of that at Arizona. When you bring that type of player, that type of talent on the college plane versus a team that's a pro-style team.
Yeah.
It creates a plethora of problems for him, Johnson, because you can't duplicate that.
No, you can't.
You can always bring a running back, a receiver, or a defensive back to play quarterback, but he's not playing at game speed, which is what you're going to see on Saturday. And so, Rich Rodriguez, it takes any head coach, Johnson, 2 to 3, 4 not given that time to allow their system to grow up. I mean, Rich Rod got maligned when he was at Michigan.
Yep.
He was very successful in West Virginia, though.
Yep.
But now he's in Arizona, and he's brought his type of players in. At Michigan, he was stuck with Big Ten talent.
Yeah.
That was not able to run his system. Now that he's at Arizona, he can get that West Coast talent talking. That's a speed-oriented conference.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
And now that the offense is starting to develop, and they're challenging the big boys every game.
Yeah, they really are, and they really should. And USC's not good at keeping outside containment. Their defensive ends are always crashing down inside of the tackle. I mean, stay outside of the tackle and stop the option if you can, but who knows if they'll get the memo in time, Big C. I do want to bring you another game from the West Coast. The Washington Huskies 44-23 over UCLA. And you talk about two quarterbacks that are NFL ready, and Browning from Washington. And then you look at UCLA, they've been getting pumped all season long in Rosen. But the Huskies have a better defense than Washington. They can both put points on the board. But I wasn't too impressed by either quarterback. It's just a feeling that they get hyped. And I think they'll both get drafted in the NFL. But the talks of this being a number one pick or the first pick, I just don't see it yet. I want to get on West Virginia and Oklahoma. West Virginia coming into the game ranked number 22 in the country. Oklahoma State at number 11. A 50-39 blowout win by Oklahoma State on the road, and their quarterback can really spin it, Big C. Your thoughts on Oklahoma State going into West Virginia and getting that win?
We talked about Rudolph in our preseason show kickoff.
Yeah.
And how good a quarterback he and Mayfield were. They had the best tandem of quarterbacks in one conference. I mean, everybody talked about USC and UCLA with those quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And even Washington State with Folk.
Yeah.
But when we talk about the best tandem, these two quarterbacks that came into the regular season, Charlton, going for over 15,000 yards in the past 2 years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so when you talk about a tandem in a conference, it was not better. Rudolph has not let people down all year long, Charlton. When you look around playing in that Gundy system there at OK State,
Yep.
I mean, he week in, week out can come in and light it up for 40, 50, and almost 60 points this last weekend versus West Virginia. Now, they're not a shabby team with Dana Holgorsen.
No.
Okay, Will Greer, transfer from Florida, had a good game. I mean, you think about it, when you score almost 40 points, that you shouldn't be blown out.
No, you shouldn't.
But that's not the case when you play Oklahoma State. You can be blown out scoring 40 points. And so when you think about what Rudolph has done
Yeah.
and the Mike Gundy system at Oklahoma State,
Yeah.
this shootout between me and Oklahoma for the title, Charlton, that Big 12 title, is going to be some type of game.
That's a very good point. Big C, Oklahoma ranked number 10 in the country, 49-27 over Texas Tech. I'm still not impressed with Oklahoma, not when I saw them lose at home to Iowa State. So to me, that put a little bad taste in my mouth, just seeing that, because they're supposed to be a dominant team. I don't see a team like Iowa State going into Alabama and winning, or even Georgia, or even Notre Dame. The final college football game, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, America's prodigal team. Everybody wants to see, when I say everybody, the college football world wants to see Notre Dame somehow get into this Final Four. And it was kind of shaky at first against North Carolina State coming in there ranked. But Notre Dame, with a 35-14 win against NC State, I thought it was a very sound win because NC State has good athletes. They can also throw the ball very well. But Notre Dame, you can't really stop their running game. But what could hurt them is if they get into a shootout against a team like a Clemson or even a Georgia, where they have to throw the ball to win. They can run the ball on anybody, maybe outside of Alabama. But without a passing game, I still think they're one of the top 4 teams in the country. But just give me your thoughts on Notre Dame. Are they playoff ready? We know if they win out, they'll get in, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, this young freshman quarterback, Charlton, has gotten better the past couple of weeks. When you think about it, he's thrown 5 touchdown passes in the last 2 games against USC and North Carolina State.
Yeah.
So they're evolving. And the run game has made it easy for him, Charlton, because he doesn't have to press the issue.
Right.
When you're gaining over 300 yards a game on the ground, it makes it real easy for a freshman quarterback to only throw when you feel the need to throw. You're not necessitated to throw all the time.
Yeah.
And so it's opened up a lot of one-on-one coverage because they're stacking 7 and 8 in the box trying to stop the running game. So he's getting a lot of man-to-man coverage when he's looking into the secondary. So he's not having to read complicated defenses.
No.
But this Fighting Irish team, the best thing that happened to them if they run the table is that if Georgia runs the table, Charlton, because that means that they've lost to only the number 2 team in the country.
Yep.
So that bodes well for their record. Plus, they would have knocked out 3 ranked teams, Charlton.
Yeah.
Going into the playoff voting
That's a very good point.
Really right now, where you had a coach that they were talking about getting rid of, Brian Kelly,
Yeah.
at the end of last season.
Yep.
And now he's turned his team around and won twice as many games already as what he won last season, Chauncey.
Yeah.
They may be talking about giving him a pay raise.
That's a very good point, Biggs. If Mel Kiper's getting pay raises for saying Sam Darnold's the hottest quarterback, then everybody gets a pay raise. I do want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. For every sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century, and they work with Big C Sports. If you're a pro team, a collegiate team, a high school team, even your mom and pop soccer leagues, reach out to them and let them know that Big C sent you. Big C on to the NFL. Tom Brady, congratulations. The winningest quarterback in the history of the game, 189 wins. But I do want to start out across the pond where they follow Big C Sports over at Big Ben in London, England. And just a way to stop spending time flying across the pond to watch bad football is making America look bad. Only send our better teams over there. They sent the Cleveland Browns. And what does that say to England? When you're supposed to send wine and cheese, not the Browns, Big C, but the Vikings 33-16 over Cleveland. Your thoughts on a great game if you're the Minnesota Vikings on thought?
Well, Chuck, who would have thought at this point last year that the Minnesota Vikings would be leading that division, Chuck, and they're 5-2.
Yeah.
They've gotten off to a wonderful start. I mean, they lost their starting quarterback, but Case Keenum has come in and not missed the stride when Sam Bradford went down.
Yeah.
They lost Dalvin Cook, their top running back, and they did replace him with two backup backs that have done an admirable job. It's a combination of him, Chuck.
Yeah.
Their receiving core, they have the top 1 and 2 receivers in the NFL.
Yeah.
No one would have thought that, but that defense that the Vikings had, it reminds you of the Purple People Eaters.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the 70s.
Yep.
When they had, Gary Larson, Alan Page, Jim Marshall, and Carl Eller.
They still scare me.
And they're similar to that now, Chauncey.
Yeah.
This is a team that gets after opposing running backs and quarterbacks. They don't allow you the time to get comfortable in the pocket, which is a lot of the success of their offense, Chauncey.
Yeah.
They simplified their offense, like Dallas did last year.
Yep.
Dak Prescott, all the teams dumbed down their defense.
Yeah.
But the Vikings have simplified their offense with young players.
Yeah.
They've upgraded their offensive line, and it's showing.
Yeah.
You think about Green Bay. They have no Aaron Rodgers.
Nope.
So they really have nothing. They were a one-pony team.
Yeah.
And now the Vikings are in the catbird seat as far as winning their division.
That's a very good point. And that game is played on a Sunday. Greg Gumbel had the play-by-play along with Trent Green and Jamie Erdahl. Another game that I was really disappointed by, the Raiders. I thought the Raiders would take more moxie across the country going into Buffalo. They scored first, went up 7-0, but the Raiders are now, when you look at it, they're 3-5 on the season. I think their playoff chances are over. They fall at Buffalo 34-14 in that game was Sunday with CBS Sports. Andrew Catalon and Jace Laughlin had the play-by-play. Big C, your thought on Buffalo looking like they could challenge the New England Patriots, perhaps? They could challenge New England, but no one can really beat New England. But your thoughts on how easy that game was against the Raiders, your thoughts?
We talked about Shady McCoy.
Yeah.
How the Raiders would have a problem containing him.
Yeah.
And that's been the problem with the Raiders. Their Achilles heel. They're back in. They're back 7. They have not been able to cover people. And when we look at Shady McCoy's yard from scrimmage, he just dominated the
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Tyrod Taylor is one of those quarterbacks like a Russell Wilson who will cause you problems with his mobility and being able to throw on the run.
Yeah.
And this receiver core, no one gives Buffalo's receiver core any credit. They just go out and perform week in and week out.
Yeah.
It's almost like the receiver core the Cowboys had last year.
Yeah.
When Dez Bryant was down, everybody else's game rose up.
Yeah.
And Dallas had a lot of success because you didn't have a big mouth receiver.
Yeah, that's true.
Buffalo right now, Johnson. You're winning by committee. Who's ever called upon to be successful? That's what they're doing. And that defense was built up in Buffalo the past few years with a lot of high-round draft picks, Charlton.
Yeah.
And they're performing like that right now.
No, they definitely look good, Big C. The Colts, I don't know what to say about them. They gave up a good fight against the Bengals, and the Colts right now fall to 2-6 on the season. Cincinnati goes to 3-4 with a 24-23 game. That game was Sunday on CBS Sports. Spiro Davis and Adam Archuleta have the play-by-play. Your thoughts on Dalton as the quarterback for Cincinnati? Would this be his last season there? They have to do something different. They keep talking about getting rid of the head coach. But here's a team that when you can squeak by the Colts who can't really beat anybody, that's not boding well for Cincinnati. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, Dalton's biggest problem is that he's lost his past two offensive coordinators. They become head coaches of the organization.
Yeah.
You know, when you talk about finding a head coach, it's the same thing in finding an offensive coordinator.
Yep.
Finding a guy that fits the talent of the guy you're asking him to pull the trigger with every play.
Yeah.
And that hasn't been a success the past 2 years in Cincinnati, okay?
Yep.
Finding the right fit. You had originally Gruden, who was able to groom Dalton as a young, first and second year quarterback.
Yeah.
Then Hugh Jackson, who had been the running backs coach, was able to take over that because they were in the same meeting rooms. Then you hire outside the organization, Charlie. Dalton doesn't have that same fit with the current offensive coordinator. Matter of fact, this is the second one because they fired the previous one.
Yeah.
So he's had 2 offensive coordinators in the past 2 years. So that's been a big problem for them. When you think about them squeaking by in this win, Charlton, against Indianapolis,
Yeah.
we can talk about Dalton, but we got to also talk about Chuck Fodano
Yeah.
in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Ursay is the biggest problem in Indianapolis. Instead of going out hiring a qualified general manager, he hired his best friend, who was his weightlifting buddy, as the general manager. He
Yeah.
knew nothing about football.
Yeah.
And he didn't know how to, choose an offensive line.
Yeah.
They have a quarterback all the money who they never play in the NFL game again, Charles. You think about it, it's been 9 months since Andrew Luck has had his surgery.
Yeah.
And he's still going back for other opinions and evaluations, Charlton. So who knows whether he'll ever be able to play in the NFL again. That's something the coach really has to take a long look at. Is their future?
Yeah.
Jacoby Brissett going to be the guy in their future, or are they going to go out and look and draft somebody else?
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of Donald Trump hiring his best friend and Steve Bannon. That didn't work out too well for Trump and the administration, Big C. I want to look at another game, and you look at the Bears. I don't know what to say about the Bears. They got a lucky win over Carolina, and then they fall at the Saints. The Saints get a win without Brees throwing a touchdown pass. The Saints go to 5-2, really in controlling their division. The Bears fall to 3-5. That game was Sunday on Fox Sports with Justin Kutcher and Chris Spielman and Jennifer Hale with the play-by-play. Your thoughts on the Saints? If they can win games without Drew Brees throwing touchdown passes, Big C, they look like a lock to win that division. Your thoughts?
Well, the Saints are surprising 5-2, Charlton, but there was something more catastrophic that occurred in this game. Zach Miller, the tight end for the Bears,
Yeah.
tore up and dislocated his knee in this game, Charlton. He had emergency surgery last night. We're not talking about a guy trying to get his knee put back together. The doctors were trying to save his leg last night.
Yeah.
Because he destroyed the arteries in the knee, Charlton, and so they had to do grafts from his other leg, from his right leg to his left leg, trying to get the blood flow back into his leg. So we're talking about a career-ending injury last night with Zach Miller.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest loss the Bears suffered. Yes, you can lose the game, Charlton, but when you talk about a player losing his career on a significant play, and this is what NFL players are always worried about, injuries. So when they talk about players holding out and asking for more money and the free agency that, Kurt Floyd, the former baseball player, allowed all professional athletes to have, and sacrificing his career. Zach Miller last night, not only did the Bears lose the game, but they lost their great tight end, and he most likely ended his career. But hopefully the doctors will be able to save his leg, Charlton, and he won't have to suffer an amputation for this.
That would be very miraculous if they can do that. We know we have the best doctors in the world, especially when you're a pro athlete. I want to look at
Let me touch on something.
Yeah.
This is why the Affordable Care Act is so important for the American citizens. As everybody wants to say, the Republicans want to repeal and replace Obamacare. Think about with Trump's actions versus the NFL players, and all the negativity that he's calling them SOBs.
Yeah.
If they were to repeal insurance, health insurance for NFL players, think about Zach Miller's catastrophic situation. When he's been able to go in and have emergency surgery within an hour after the game, Charlton. No, he would not have. This is what the Affordable Care Act has afforded many American citizens, Charlton. The ability to get the medical coverage and care that you need.
Yeah.
Just like professional athletes, Charlton. So all of you people who think that the Affordable Care Act, a.k.a. Obamacare, is a bad thing for America, ask Zach Miller and his family, the Chicago Bears tight end,
Yeah, we all know we all need the best health care possible. So I wish the man the best, and he has the best doctors working with him. I do want to jump on the Chargers going across the country, and they put up a nice fight against the New England Patriots, but they did fall in that game. And Brady gets 189th win, so the winningest quarterback in the history of the NFL football. But a great game. and a great effort by the Chargers, but they fall short at New England on the road. Big C, that game was Sunday with Ian Eagle, Dan Fouts, and even Washburn with the play-by-play. Your thoughts on the Patriots finding another way to win a game, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, the winning was spoken there. Melvin Gordon kept the Chargers in this game, Jonathan. He
Yep.
ran up and down the field on the Patriots. Phillip Rivers had opportunities
Yeah.
in this game, Jonathan.
Yep.
I mean, you think about the battles that the Chargers and the Patriots have had throughout Phillip Rivers' career.
Yeah.
Whether it was in an AFC championship game or Jonathan, just a regular season game. He has played Tom Brady close to the best.
Yeah.
And he had his chance yesterday, Jonathan,
Yeah.
to pull his game out without that late game interception. They would have beaten
The Patriots. Yeah.
He got them down in the red zone, just could not get enough on the ball in that inclement weather, Jonathan, to push it into the end zone.
Yeah, that's a lot of what happens when you go up and play New England. You got to be on your best game. Another team that turned things around from last year's Super Bowl, the Falcons go to 4-3 on the season, and they dropped the dress to 4-4 now. A 25-20 hard-fought win, and that game was on Fox Sports, and a great ball game it was, especially for Atlanta. Sam Rosen, Rondé Barber, and Christina Pink had the play-by-play. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Jonathan, the Falcons are who we thought they were.
Yeah.
They lucked up on a victory because they were dominated by the Jets.
Yeah.
They pulled this one out late in the game. I mean, Julio Jones had his best game of the season. But, this is a game that the Jets could have easily won also.
Yeah.
They had a couple of critical mistakes in this game, Jonathan, a fumble on a kick. That they should have secured that ball, Jonathan, and they didn't, and it allowed the Falcons to be able to go in and score, which made a difference in the game.
Yep.
But the Jets are a much better team than what people thought they would be this year.
Yeah.
Todd Bowles have them playing outstanding football with a journeyman quarterback who's been with 17.
Yep.
But Matt Ryan, everyone said that he was the next anointed one in the NFL, Jonathan. He has not shown that this season after coming off that high last year, winning the league MVP.
Yeah.
He's just a very pedestrian quarterback. He's not putting up numbers, 250 yards. There's not a lot of yards for him to be quarterback.
No, that's true, Big C. And also, when you think of a lot of yards, I want to roll back to the East and stay on the East Coast. The 49ers, miraculously, I still think about Joe Montana. I think about Jerry Rice. I think about Steve Young, John Taylor, Ronnie Lott. So many great people have played in that organization. They're 0-8. They haven't won a game since Colin Kaepernick was their starting quarterback, and that was last year at the LA Coliseum. They go to 0-8 on this season. They fall at Philadelphia, which goes to 7-1, 33-10. Now you look at what they've done the last couple of games: 40-10 to the Cowboys, and now 33-10 to the Eagles. It's as if they're not even trying. And I know a lot of people want to say, well, they're rebuilding. You should not have to be on a 4-year rebuilding cycle when you don't even hire the best players that are available. Big C is like, I think when a doctor does something wrong, they call it malpractice. The 49ers organization is just a shame to see how far they've gone. Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, we talked to the 49ers answered that question last week when they sent out the question into the fans.
Yeah. Did they send it to the Eagles fans? Did the Eagles fans get that memo, Big C, you think? Yeah.
This is all your 49ers organization. We don't think they're winning in
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you put a product like that on the field and in your front office.
Yeah.
To say that winning is not important.
Yep.
And so the players can't even, grasp, that winning is important.
No.
They should ask the fans.
Yep.
And say that it's not. So this is a scenario that the 49ers in. C.J. Beathard is playing quarterback for the 49ers, a low-round draft pick out of the University of Iowa.
Yeah.
In the last two games, Jonathan, he has not completed 50% of his passes in either game.
Yeah.
We know by NFL standards, if ask your buddy Jay Cutler. You're not completing 50% of your passes, even Mike Trubisky in Chicago.
Yeah.
If you're not completing 50% of your passes, you're not going to win.
Yep.
And so, John Lynch, the general manager, okay, and Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan, the head coach,
Yeah.
said that they got the team on track, Jonathan.
On track for what? On Amtrak? On the BART train? Which track they talking about?
But they got a quarterback playing that can't complete 50% of his passes in the NFL.
Yeah.
And yet they're paying him.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
That's how bad Colin Kaepernick was, okay?
Yeah.
That he completed more than 50% of his passes, and that was too good for the organization.
You can't get a job.
He threw 18 touchdown passes, and that was too good for the organization. He only
Yeah.
threw 4 interceptions, which has been eclipsed in a couple games by either one of these quarterbacks.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was too good for the organization.
Yeah.
So the 49ers have said, we got a quarterback that can play that took us to a Super Bowl a couple years ago, but we would rather play guys who cannot complete 50% of their passes.
Yeah.
And that's going to make us a better organization.
Yeah, and
the community.
Yeah, and the shame about it, Big C, it would be a lot like, remember last 2 seasons ago when Peyton Manning was injured at Denver, and so they put him on the side, like he hurt his neck, so they put a cast on his foot. Okay, talk about malpractice. And then they brought on Brock Osweiler to let Peyton Manning heal up because they thought they could make a run at the Super Bowl, because they thought that Peyton Manning really was the best quarterback available for them, and it proved to be right behind the defense they had. The 49ers are in a similar situation. They have a chance to go after the best quarterback available for them, but they won't do it. And they won't do it because I don't know why. I don't even understand anymore. I guess 33-10 is acceptable. That's why they put up the memo. Big C, I look at another team in the NFC that started off strong. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are now, they're 2-5 on the season. The Carolina Panthers started playing better football. They're now 5-3 under Cam Newton. And a 17-3 win in an divisional game, which is really big for the Carolina to go on the road and win a game with such a great quarterback in Cam Newton being under pressure a lot. And that game was Sunday on Fox Sports. Christopher Myers and Daryl Johnson and Laura Oakman had the play-by-play. Just give me your thoughts. Has Carolina turned the corner, or do they have still a bumpy road ahead of them, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charles, I don't know about turning the corner. I don't think that they got on a side street or anything.
Yeah.
This is a team that's moving ahead. They're ahead of last year's schedule, Charlton, as far as wins.
Yep.
This is a team that's had a lot of injuries. That's what people are not thinking about, is all the injuries that they've had offensively and defensively. That offensive line is still struggling, trying to protect Cam Newton. No one talks about that.
Yeah.
They want to get Cam Newton into a press conference and ask him questions that are not related to why the team lost or won. No one's talking about their offensive line in the press conference.
Have they seen Bill Belichick's press conference? Big C, I don't mean to cut you off. Have they seen Bill Belichick's press conference? He doesn't say anything other than But they say, okay, great job, coach. Your thoughts on why they want the athletes to speak more than Bill Belichick? That's an embarrassment when you think about it.
Well, yeah, and the league doesn't say anything
No.
about Bill Belichick's lack of injection into a press conference.
No.
And when Cam Newton doesn't inject into a press conference, that makes the highlight reel on Sports Center.
Yeah.
It's amazing how Sports Center takes Cam Newton.
Yeah.
I don't see them taking the quarterbacks that are losing games.
No.
And put them on there. That's the thing that I don't see. You're taking this one African-American quarterback and you ride him like a Kentucky Derby horse.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And saying, okay, this is how we don't want to conduct the press conference.
Yeah.
But show me some of these quarterbacks that haven't won as many games, and again, let's put your comeback king money in a press conference, okay?
Yeah.
Let's do Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
And all this money, and ask Matt, do you feel that you're being overpaid for the amount of losses?
Yeah.
This comeback story,
Yeah.
we don't ask those type of questions of a quarterback.
Yeah.
We don't do that. Let's ask your cousin there in Washington, okay? Okay, now you get $25 million, and your team is what, 3-5?
Yeah.
And you're waiting on free agency to become the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, and over the last 3 seasons,
Yep.
you have a losing record.
Yep.
So you're justifying the $25 million that you're stealing. You had 4 open receivers that you couldn't hit in the game.
That's what.
You could have done a better job in finding the open guy.
Yeah.
When you threw an interception.
Uh-huh.
Those type of questions. Are you questioning yourself about routes? I haven't heard that from Matthew Stafford's interviewers. I haven't heard it from Kirk Cousins' interviewers.
Yeah. I tell you.
I hear that with Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Cam Newton has a winning record. Last time I checked, Matthew Stafford and Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, that's funny. I heard this joke one time. This young boy was walking down the street in Oakland, and these 3 guys pull up in this car, and they were trying to get to the Coliseum, and they took the wrong exit. So they said, "Young boy, come here." And the boy said, "Yeah." They said, "Do you know how to get back onto the road that gets us to the Coliseum?" He said, "No." And they said, "Well, boy, do you know how to get to a main street so we can get to the highway?" He said, "No." They said, "Well, boy, do you know where we can find a gas station so we can get some directions to get back on the highway?" He said, "No." They said, boy, what do you know? And he said, I know I'm not lost, Big C. And sometimes I think that same boy, they need to find that boy to be a quarterback for some of these NFL teams that can't seem to find that win. Your favorite quarterback in the NFL, last night the Pittsburgh Steelers go to 6-2 with a 20-15 win over the Detroit Lions, who fall to 3-4. And Matthew Stafford looked a little bit lost last night trying to get the comeback win, just like that boy in that joke that I told. That game was Sunday, 8:30 with the great Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth and Michelle Tafoya on NBC Sports. Your thoughts on the Steelers looking like they could be the second best team in the AFC, Big C? Your thoughts?
We're talking about the best team in the AFC when it's all said and done.
Yep.
I mean, Mike Tomlin is a master head coach. I love the way that Mike Tomlin holds a press conference.
Yeah.
And the way that Mike Tomlin holds a press conference, that's the same vernacular he uses with his players.
Yeah.
That intensity, I'm the sheriff, I'm in charge, we got to do things my way.
Yep.
Okay? And,
Yep.
and he's proved that to his players. He said, I will sit you down or I will cut you.
Yep.
We saw that last week. You shut out your mouth on social media.
Yeah.
You find yourself on the practice roster.
Yeah.
I think that might have motivated 2 or 3 players, Charlie,
Yeah.
to shut up and play.
And what did Juju have?
So we got with the Steelers.
And Juju had about 200 yards, almost 200 yards receiving in that game, too. His replacement, Juju Smith.
Yeah. I mean, you had what, a 93-yard touchdown pass in the game, Charlie?
Yeah.
And so you think about it, the motivation that a coach brings to his organization. Mike Tomlin's been nothing but a winner.
Yeah.
And no one talks about Ben Roethlisberger come from behind victories.
No.
Because he's a consistent winner.
Yeah.
But you talk about Matthew Stafford on the other side of the street. I think the last couple games, Stafford, he has not come from behind. He's had 4 opportunities this season to come from behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but they had 5 losses, I believe. So he's had 5 opportunities to come from behind.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
This is the thing they don't talk about, where he has an all-time come from behind record.
Yeah.
But look at his overall win record, Charlton, in those come from behind.
That's a very good point. Big C, I want to finish out in 3 more games with the NFL. The game of the day yesterday, this is what a championship game could look like, or even a Super Bowl if these two teams were to ever meet. And it's not that far outside of the realm of possibility over the next season or so. The Houston Texans, with everything going on with the World Series team making a run with the Astros, and the Texans, even though they fall to 3-4 on the season, and the Seahawks go to 5-2 on the season, you think about the performance of a quarterback in Watson that no one wanted to draft the first pick. You think about he's looking like he's a third-year veteran, a guy that can go up against the 12th man up in Seattle, Washington, arguably the loudest stadium in the NFL. And then we know Russell Wilson, how good he is. Your thoughts on that game? It was must-watch television. The Texans at the Seahawks. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, do you have Todd McShay and Mel Kiper on the other line?
No, I don't. They won't answer my calls. Yeah. Yeah, they said that. Yeah. And he couldn't read defenses. Yeah. Yeah.
Prior to the draft.
Yeah.
He said there was one Michael Jordan that everybody passed up on.
Yeah.
There's one Deshaun Watson that everybody's going to pass up on. And you think about how far he fell in the draft.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackson may not keep his job in Cleveland this year.
Yep.
But he wasn't the one who said not draft the kid, okay?
Yeah.
It was everybody else. It was the analytics guy that they brought in from baseball.
Yeah.
That said Miles Garrett would be the best player, even though he only played about 15, 20 plays a game at A&M on defensive end last year. The rest of them he took off.
Yeah. He's still taking plays off. Yeah. Yeah. That's funny.
When you think about Deshaun Watson, Charlton, he did something that no other NFL quarterback has done in the history of the NFL, Charlton, on Sunday.
Yeah.
He passed for over 400 yards.
Yep.
He ran for over 50 yards. He threw 4 touchdown passes, Charlton. That number has never been equal
No.
in the NFL's history.
No.
And he's a rookie.
Well, hold on. Are you saying?
Other than Kareem Hunt, and I know he's having a tremendous year for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
Just give Deshaun Watson the Rookie of the Year and co-MVP, because without J.J. Watt on this team, Charlton, his defense is in disarray.
Yeah.
He lost 2 big guys on the defensive line. Vince Wilfork,
Yep.
who retired when J.J. Watt got hurt again.
Yeah.
They don't have another defensive end. Jadeveon Clowney has been a clown ever since he's been the number 1 overall draft pick with the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
But, when I look at this between these two African American quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson, over 450 yards. Between these guys, talking for almost 900 yards, and they threw 8 touchdown passes.
Yeah.
But in the back of the sports pages, they don't want to talk about these guys. They want to put them in the back. They don't want to put them on the front.
Yeah, I know.
These two players are the face of the NFL. If that had been Aaron Rodgers, Bill, and Tom Brady,
Yeah.
or even Matt Ryan having that type of game against a Matthew Stafford, that would have been the talk of the NFL talk.
Yeah, and I think.
Put up numbers that Drew Brees always fantasizes about.
Yeah, and at
Young in his career.
the great thing.
To showcase
Yeah.
this type of performance, and even more so, Charlton, on the Houston Texans side, after the owner McNair called them inmates.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
His inmates now showing what criminals play like, all right?
Yeah. I mean. Yeah.
You think of that, the pressure that they had on them mentally.
Yeah.
From their owner, calling them prisoners, all right?
Yeah.
But, you're my prison. Basically, I don't know if he would have said slave would have cut any deeper, Charlton.
Yeah.
He cut like a knife what he said. And people say, well, he misspoke.
He didn't mean it. He's only 14.
No, he said what he said, damn it.
Yeah. He's only 14. He didn't know he was talking about Big C. Donald Trump. He's only 14. You got to forgive him. He's only 14 years old. I do want to jump across the country.
Billions of dollars by misspeaking, Charlton.
Yeah.
Okay?
I understand.
He was a man who was intelligent, who knew exactly what he was saying, and the company that he was keeping, Charlton, because he was in very comfortable company that he said he was.
Well, sometime what's in your heart comes out when you speak. I do want to jump across the country. The Dallas Cowboys go to 4-3 on the season with a great performance by Prescott at the Washington Redskins, which fall to 3-4. You like that? You like that? No, we don't like that, Kirk Cousins. 33-19, the Cowboys over the Redskins. That game was Sunday on Fox Sports. Tom Brenneman, Troy Aikman, and Aaron Andrews had the play-by-play. Your thoughts on how good the Cowboys looked in that game, especially with a young quarterback that a lot of people were saying couldn't read defenses that well. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I guess you could call him a game manager, Charlton.
Yeah.
He's becoming a game manager.
Yeah.
The problem with the Cowboys has not been Dak Prescott.
No.
He's been consistent all year long. Just like he was last year. Their defense has let them down on many occasions.
Yeah.
The defense now is stepping up, and it stepped up big against Washington. Everyone's excuse right now for Washington is that they got so many players injured.
Yeah.
It goes back to that analogy we used earlier. When they win, the quarterback gets all the praise.
Yeah.
When you lose, he's got to take the bullets, all right?
Hey, Big C, let me...
Cousins, you're making $25 million. You got to find a way to make a play. I don't care who's hurt.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you. I was kind of confused. I was watching the game with that little boy that said he wasn't lost when those guys were asking for directions, and he said, "Which one makes $25 million a year?" And I said, "I think it's the guy on the losing end." Does that make any sense, Big C? Yeah.
Everybody said he wasn't NFL ready.
Yeah.
He would not be a good NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
And let's take Trubisky in front of him because he's ready for the NFL.
Yeah.
Trubisky has not completed in one game this year, Charlton. In one game, 3 goals.
No.
Watson does it every week he walks out on the field.
Yeah.
Okay?
Hey, but you got to at least give
4 touchdowns every game that he's in.
you got to at least give
We look at that, Charlton, and
Yeah.
your money's at your cousin.
Hey, Big C, you. Yeah.
He's 3-5 this year as a quarterback.
Yeah, 3-4 actually right now, 3 or 4.
On the 49ers wish list.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You got to start making people think that $25 million doesn't go as long as it used to back in the day, Big C. Final game on the NFL, the Broncos at the Chiefs. The Broncos coming in 3-3, the Chiefs 5-2. Remember, they started out undefeated, and they've dropped the last couple of games. So but the Monday night game tonight, Sean McDonough and John Gruden will have the play-by-play. And obviously, the Broncos have to find some offense. Their defense is still good, but when you're always on the field, Big C, you get worn down. Even, who's that guy that makes commercials about deodorant now? That guy that likes to sack quarterbacks. What's his name? The MVP for the Super Bowl a couple years ago out of Texas A&M. Well, maybe instead of wearing deodorant, Von Miller, stop wearing deodorant when you're playing football games. If you smell too good, then you're not being mean enough. I don't think he should do deodorant commercials. Maybe he should do commercials about playing in mud or something, Big C. Your thoughts on that game tonight? Yeah.
Montana gets Stephon Diggs in the waning seconds of the
Yep.
game in the right corner of the end zone for a touchdown. Just a magnificent Monday night game that, went down in the history of one of the greatest games on Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
We got a team in the Chiefs that, lost 2 games here, Charlton, and, had total command of the division.
Yeah.
We're looking at the Broncos that are in the same boat. Trevor Simeon right now is playing for his life tonight, Charlton, as a starter.
Yeah.
In Denver. They're talking about bringing up Brock Osweiler back out of the Broncos.
No, ouch. No, don't do that.
Jerome Charles, Charlton, for the first time in 2 years,
Yeah.
playing against the Kansas City Chiefs. This is going to be his first trip in the Arrowhead with an opposing team. So that may bring some sparks to the Denver offense, but I think Alex Smith will get off the snide tonight, Charlton.
Yeah.
When you think about that game that they played a couple weeks ago against the Raiders,
Yep.
and that game came down to the wire on that final drive.
Yep.
But I think that they're getting healthy now, and they got to get the ball in Kareem's hand and slow down that Chiefs pass, not the Chiefs, but the Broncos pass rush.
Yeah.
Which should make a difference in the game tonight.
Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Bandini Brown. He was Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young man, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, I think the NFL is about to reach a tipping point. We had Jerry Jones bring 17 different owners together in a meeting, and they're doing some talk about potentially removing Roger Goodell because he is working with the players and protecting the shield.
Yeah.
And this is led by Jerry Jones. And this is not something that they want. They want him to put a stamp against all of what the players believe and what the players are fighting for because of their relationship with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump is putting pressure on the owners, and the owners are now talking about putting pressure on Roger Goodell.
Yeah.
I think it's a bad move for the league, Charlie.
Yeah.
If they lose Roger Goodell, the NFL will be in a free fall.
Yeah, I agree. They got to find a way to keep the players happy. You got to keep the workers happy. You can always keep them happy every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide. Follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, on every Big C Sports show, there is never, ever any excuse for domestic violence. A man should never hit a woman. If you find yourself in that situation, please call 911. No one should have to deal with that situation on their own. And as we always tell you, on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.